Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first ground cover at SMUSH Gallery. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here today, from coming near and far. My name is Meagan. I'm one of the event producers here at SMUSH Gallery. We welcome you to our space that has been tended by the Munsee Lenape people for time immemorial, and we arrive here with remembrance of the care and the justice that we hope to share with you, our community. Tonight is very special. I'm so thrilled to share this event with you. It's been a pleasure to get to know Gold and their vision for this event, and to see so many artists come in to share in various ways. So thank you, each of you, for being here. Who's new to SMUSH? Yes, welcome. Welcome for the first time to our gallery. We do so much here. We've got a lot of programming that you can find out about on these very colorful ombre postcards that you're welcome to take on your way out. We also have a mailing list that's on our clipboard by our hot pink t-shirts that you're welcome to also grab. This is a great way to find out what's going on in our gallery, as well as following us on social. SMUSH Gallery is our handle on Instagram, so please keep up with what we're doing. We'd love to share more with you than just today. A little preview of what's happening for the rest of our spring. We have a potluck series coming up on Tax Day. So when you finish your taxes, come celebrate. Everybody brings food. There's going to be dance and singing, and the Jersey City Free Public Library is going to share about their programming. So that's coming up on the 15th. We also have an affordable art show in May. Everything is under $101. Or is $101. So please come to that. That's opening on the 2nd of May. We also have residencies this summer. So if you're an artist looking for a space to just like hunker in and make your work, that could be you this summer. You can do 1 week or 2 weeks, and the space is yours 24/7. People do visual art, performance. You can sell your work out of here. You can do more open mic events. Our applications end pretty soon for that, so keep an eye out on that. We also do craft circles. We just did some wood block printing that you can see here. Every month people bring projects and share food and create with other nice people simultaneously in a shared space. So that's a fun thing to check out. I also teach sewing here. Santa Lee is taking my sewing classes. So if you want to learn how to make things, how to mend things, how to alter, how to more sustainably dress yourself, I would love to tell you more about that. In June, we're doing a hemming workshop, a taking in workshop, and then I'm also teaching skills on how to make patterns from clothes you already own that you want to recreate. So ask me about that. And then finally, we have a lot of cheeky merch for you to enjoy. So feel free to take a look at our merch in the back. I think that's it for me. Thank you again so much for being here. Can we give a warm welcome to Gold?
Hello. Thank you so much for coming, and welcome to Ground Cover. So this is a new live music and poetry series here in Jersey City at SMUSH. And tonight we have 3 performances from Jay, Griffith, Leonora Donovan, and myself, Gold Carson Sánchez, that's me. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my thoughts for this event. And so, yeah, after each performer shares their own set of original work, they'll read a poem or sing a song written by someone else, and then tell us something about it. How it fits into their sonic lineage, their listening practice, their writing practice. I started this series because I wanted a space to hear poetry that isn't an open mic, and a space to hear music that isn't a bar. And so poetry and music, I think, should really live in the same room more often. So that's kind of what I wanted to cultivate here. I wanted to cultivate a practice where we not only perform our own work, but we have a real transparency and generosity about how we arrived at that work. And everybody loves a good cover, right? And I'm always interested in why musicians choose certain covers, and what they might mean for them, right? And while I'm always trying to translate speech into music, and poetry into music, and music into poetry, right? And so I thought the idea of the cover should translate into poetry as well. And I want to acknowledge here the ongoing genocide in Palestine and capitalist crises that are affecting our communities here on occupied Lenape land and beyond. For me, poetry is about putting together that like ruined thing that we have that is called language, right? And in hopes of like shifting some emotional weight around. Even if it's small and personal, I need poetry to make new combinations of thought possible and to reinforce these like eternal truths that we know. I also need poetry in order to talk to you and to be together. And in agriculture, ground cover is anything that lies on top of the soil and protects it from erosion and inhibits weeds. So grasses, mosses, vines, shrubs, these low-lying plants that we take for granted, but really are so important to what we're growing. But I promise not to belabor the botanical metaphor. It's mostly a great name, I think. So thank you to SMUSH Gallery for hosting us, especially to Meagan Woods for presenting this event and supporting it. Thank you to our videographer, Joe Reinhart. And without further explanation, I'm so happy to introduce the poet J. Griffith.
Hi, thank you so much to Gold for inviting me to read at this series. I'm so excited to be sharing the stage with them and Leonora, and yeah, I'm so thankful. I'm going to start off with my cover, actually. This is a portion from Ingar Christensen's Alphabet. It's a series of poems that follow the Fibonacci sequence, taking each number as a letter that it starts with. But it was originally written in Danish, so that pattern doesn't really translate to English. But this is number 11. Love exists, love exists. Your hand, a baby bird, so obliviously tucked into mine, and death impossible to remember how inalienable life, as easily as chemicals drifting over the knot grass and rock doves, all of it is lost, vanishing, impossible to remember that there and there flocks of rootless people, livestock, dogs exist, are vanishing. Tomatoes, olives, vanishing. The smallish women who harvest them, withering, vanishing, while the ground is dusty with sickness, a powder of berries and leaves, and the buds of the caper are never gathered, pickled with salt, and eaten. But before they vanish, before we vanish, one evening we sit at the table with a little bread, a few fish without cankers, and water cleverly turned into water. One of history's thousands of war paths suddenly crosses the living room. You get up. Limits. Given limits exist, streets, oblivion everywhere, but your hideout comes no nearer. See, the moon is too brightly lit, and Charles's wain is going back empty as it came. The dead want to be carried. The sick want to be carried. The broken, pale soldiers looking like Narcissus want to be carried. You wander around in such a strangely endless way. Only when they die do you stop in a kale patch no one has tended for several centuries. Follow the sound of a dried-up spring, somewhere in Karelia maybe. And as you think of words like chromosomes and chimeras and the aborted growth of lychees, fruits of love, you peel off some tree bark and eat it. Thank you. This is a collection that came into my life as recently as this January because my partner's mom got it for me. But I think it was like immediately deeply impactful because it spoke to so many things that I was like in the middle of thinking about and kind of like feeling overwhelmed by. And I think like first off, just her language stood out to me, and how she's able to kind of Ingar Christensen is able to create this kind of like very casual tone that's still so strange. so you feel like you're having a conversation, but just like in like a slightly different dimension. I really love how she uses such specific words. Like there's something so like enticing about getting to say like chimera, chromosomes, like referencing these aspects of kind of like natural sciences and biology that are usually like pretty cordoned off from poetry, particularly because it requires that kind of like knowledge making that's so different from the way that we think about poetry. So I love how she like really like brings that in. And I think that really like led to connecting her work towards like some of the things I'm thinking about in terms of like how we consider like nature and the natural world. She's like writing during the proxy conflicts of like the 70s and 80s, you know, from Europe, looking at the destruction and devastation that like that the atomic bomb and that like wars in Korea and Vietnam are having, and sort of like thinking about the way that people and nature respond to that and recover, and troubling that line that like, you know, like we are unnatural and doing unnatural things, and that like any sort of like a growth process is an undoing, but like we're a part of nature and we're doing stuff to nature, and so then the way that like it recovers is also nature and a natural process that's like worth thinking about and honoring. Yeah, so I'm obsessed with this collection, and I think it's so great. And yeah, that thought has made me like really fall in love with the New Jersey Meadowlands. I just moved to Jersey like a year and a half ago, and I'm already so obsessed with where I live, but like in particular this like strange marshland that has like all like, you know, mob bodies, like the old Penn Station, like all of these things just like in its mud, and it's constantly in the act of like reclaiming itself. So I'm very excited to get to share this poem that I wrote that's kind of like an ode to the Meadowlands, and imagining like what if there were like weird little guys that lived there. So this is Adam in the Meadowlands, a song in 12 parts. They emerged from the mud underneath the train bridges, sometime between the last revolution and the next. Covered in the faint sheen of oil like a gas station puddle, they are slightly iridescent and squelching. Small as children, nails cream, teeth sharp like an unnursed fox pup. One is identifiable by its belt of tin cans. When the sun rises ancient over the city, they pick their way through the silhouettes of high-rises and industrial superstructure to cross ferry mounds, burping leckate, sprouting methane tubes, and gather black locust roots. Early one morning, I'm staring from a rumbling path car, bleary in the washed-out white fluorescent. Over a grassy hill that I don't yet know is a capped landfill, that's where I see them, moving in an ungeese-like manner, no respect for straight lines, hazy in the riverbank red light. I swear one looks back at me. I swear it winks. If you were to ask me how I know them, I love to watch them do bad things. A faint scurrying that shakes the stinking sumac tree of heaven's strip that cuts Kearney from Harrison is the only glimpse most other people get. Among the piles of gravel, pumped silt, seas of plastic blown haphazard tumbleweed, their laugh is a keening whistle and echoes from the steel boxcars. Castor, Rigel, Aldebaran, they can tilt skyward and find their namesakes by feeling, the last space photons wriggling through the harbor lights, to catch and stuff into their mouths, still bouncing like live worms. Ears out listening, the half-blind woman who perches outside the dollar store on a milk crate points past me and recites stars. The rain has scattered puddles across the access road. Cops in dark blue flocks mime traffic around coned-off exit ramps. Mud gulps the tires of trucks carrying new railway ties. In the liquid sludge, they are swimming like giant snapping turtles, lazily and without fear, their upturned noses hovering just above the waterline. The local workers standing with their coffee outside the company's white vans, waiting for the sun to bake the earth dry, are not surprised to hear their splashing. The workers' sons who fish out beyond the park through the reeds have told their fathers stories. We throw them the fish we catch, one voice says to me. We think they look like fucked up kids. Up past the middle of 3 a.m., nearly into morning, below the rattling hiss of my heater, I hear them whispering. I'm kept awake and wonder how they sleep, all curled up like nest rats, one atop another, a breathing mass, their thrumming chests draped over by the other's slender hands. They've been spotted frequently at the area's biggest truck stop, which is straddled by enough bridges to be a corset. They're dressing up in overcoats and standing on each other's shoulder to solicit some long-distance hauler who's sweaty and has miles and miles of Midwest soy behind his eyes. I caught them once putting pigeons on the train at Newark Penn Station and sending the birds all the way to the other side of the Hudson. One night, 6 of them creep into the Newark Museum, mostly to chew on the carpets. They're arrested scampering in the East Wing by the Hudson River School Collection. Slapstick Tom and Jerry all creature pile up, skid and thud into each other. In silence, 12 dinner plate eyes widen. The unpaved hills, the chestnuts, a breathing marsh. Until blam, gut-splitting, they're all laughing and squeezing different bits. One untangles to fish a snot clod from its nose and smears a dab of mucus on a sunlit horizon. All 6 sigh and smile. Look, they say, it's us. In the last weeks before developers descend on the East Passaic Bank where the Clark Thread Company boasted the country's largest chimney, they take over old factory hallways and have an orgy. For days, they break Heineken bottles to make green ground chandeliers and roll around on doused cigarette butt piles. Their sex acts aren't anything immediately recognizable. I believe their genitalia is distinct altogether. But after a while, the familiar emerges. Some grunting, shrieking, the soft of tongue on hip bone hollows, viscous liquid dripping onto quickly slickening floors. I'm listening on my way home from work, leaning on the backside of the outer brick wall and keeping my hands firmly outside my pants. If I look close enough at the Washington Park light rail tunnel mural of the naked boys bathing in gleaming white enamel, one of them is visible. Far in the back, out of the water, a face full of something 2 inches from hunger. It is dark and wrinkled as a shadow. When I dream of them, I dream of something very old and powerful, like a bore of ocean water smashing into a bay. When I was born with a hole in my head, and the doctors warned my mother that I might not live. When my scalp healed over, I was left with a scar, and my mother breathed again in awe and relief. From this, I learned to hate more, the kind of absence that can't be seen. I ride to work above the last great smoldering dumps of this region. I come home the same way. Like a child, I keep my nose pressed against the cool glass window and worry they're hiding. How empty a flat of Spartina feels in its unexpected stillness. What if it's not only the creek fish who are sick? No matter how tightly I belt my dress pants, they fall a size or two too big. I'm shrinking. In desperation, I photograph every claw mark in the mud. Everyone in the city is tired of my asking around. What I think is someone knocking is actually a crow, bobbing, making a warbled, searching sound. Tonight, asleep, walking, I am on the Bridge Street Bridge. Here, tidal fluctuations can reach up to 1.3 meters of silt and brackish water. Years ago, the tide was mill tide and made the river dead. Lee, the water, is dark, mirrored, and unmoving. The bridge swings, lest bank anchors grinding to the center. I can walk to the end and lay head and shoulders off the side. Tonight the tide is highest, and when I touch the film where liquid meets air, there I am startled to see another hand. Underwater, unstretched, reaching. In the dark, still water, still in the dark silt of the water, a face collects upward. I'm so certain it's one of them, its eyes large and black and white in the wrong places, lips cracked and chapped and bleeding. It blinks twice at me and smiles, little teeth crowded, overlapping, knifed. When I gasp, it gasps too. Its wide cheeks puffed in mock surprise. And I am at home, and I am still there, half off the Bridge Street Bridge. We part the river. We. Thank you!
Thank you so much, Jay. That was so incredible. Thanks for traversing the swamp with us. Yeah, and so I would like to introduce the poet, Leonora Donovan.
Hi, my name is Leonora Donovan, and I am 8 beautiful women. And I worry, and that's a fat lot of gulp. And lip skin wet, and asshole round, and now bubbles curd, and gurgle love, and miraculous aorta of blame. And millions of hysterical transsexuals flutter necrotic, and eons engulf like a herd of flying ants. And tonight I infect your children to flight, and succumb to succulent cum, that secular elixir, an edged blister plump in rotten flesh juice, and all the babes rang out in glory, and I am 8 beautiful women. Thank you. Thanks for having me to SMUSH Gallery to Gold. Gold's one of my best friends, and we've gotten to spend so many hours together, like sharing poems, and it means a lot, and so to have them invite me felt very beautiful, and I'm glad to be here. Also, thanks to so many people for coming, so many beautiful friends and other people. Awesome. I really love the poet Henri Michaux. I was at this, there's this place in Brooklyn that has, they're having a sort of gallery of art from the Atlanta forest defense, and one of the posters that I saw basically said, like, reality is your battlefield. And I think the surrealists are people that really were doing battle with reality. And I'm just gonna read a little, like, what I wrote to start. I wrote this for Plume, for Henri Michaux. It starts with an epigraph. He says, "Everything is something else. Amidst a world of increasing humorlessness and terror, of oblique partitioning of reality, of political possibility, of the qualitative life, of biological sex, Henri Michaux, profane illuminator, surrealist despite himself, has taught me so much. Encountering his books has been the discovery of an immense affinity, a resonance-striking reassessment of all that I was doing, have done in my poems. I found instruction and conviviality. Michaux's A Certain Plume, with its comic metaphysics, radicalizes Chaplin. I forever attach to the drift in search of the form, its deployment of constant violent humiliation, his incessant slapstick response. Plume, absurdly disintegrating form, like an abdomen miraculating holes for bullets to escape from in existential Tom and Jerry. The vast capacity to endure tar and feather, or to take flight in the ridiculousness of it all. Plume taking off again, pen feather, leaping out for some other attempt at living through the work, the writing, etc. Michaux's characterological experiments, self-obliterating, selves-multiplying, addresses amidst the crowd, are about how to live now in dreadful irreverence. I affirm that as best I can. Rubber and glue, real discomfort, active passivity, laughter and laughter. Michaux helps me figure out how to warp out amidst so much violence. He taught me slapstick as subjectivity and its eruption. Also, it's so funny that we both have Tom and Jerry, like slaps. I don't know, that's pretty good. No, I don't know. I'm gonna read some poems from kind of like a while ago, and then some that are a little more new, and some brand new ones. This kind of felt like a good opportunity to rethink what I've been doing, and Michaux was that for me as well. His books are so different, like every one of them is different from each other. He's constantly experimenting. It felt like, confirmation that like resonance. I love the books, or some of the poems from In the Folds. The first one is called The Mansling. It goes, I also have my mansling. You can shoot men with it far, really far. You have to know how to load them. Yet it's difficult to shoot them far enough. Quite frankly, they never get shot far enough. Sometimes they come back 40 years later, as you're thinking you can at last feel at ease, when they're the ones at ease, returning with the even step of someone in no hurry, someone who could have been there 5 minutes ago and was to return right after. The other one is called The Sausage Seller from this book. So this is The Sausage Seller. I adore kneading. I grab a marshal and grind him up so well he loses half his senses. He loses his nose that he believed had such a good sense of smell, as well as his hand, which he can no longer bring up to his capi, even if an entire army corps were to salute him. Yes, by means of repeated grinding, I reduce him, a sausage henceforth, incapable of intervention. And marshals alone don't satisfy me. I have in my cellar numerous sausages who were once considerable personages, and apparently out of my reach. But my infallible instinct for jubilation triumphed over such difficulties. If they still make some noise afterward, it's really not my fault. Kneading them any further would not have been possible. I've been assured that some still move about. The papers say so. Is it true? How could it be? They're rolled up. What remains is the tail end of phenomena, such as we encounter in nature, a kind of mystery in the order of reflections and exhalations, and whose importance needn't be exaggerated, no, not in the least. In my cellar, they lie there in profound silence. I really don't like humorlessness. Like, everyone's so serious. And I don't know, like, I think if you're serious, it's because you're so sure that things are as they are. And I think what's beautiful about, like, slapstick, as it's radicalized by the surrealists, is that everything is something else, and, like, the possibility that reality could erupt at any moment is, omnipresent. The other thing that I really relate to, and I found this book in the last year, it's called A Certain Plume. It's sort of his alter ego. It's sort of this character who's just thrashed about and disrespected and ground down, and he's just pathetic and it's disgusting and hilarious. And there's something about it that really resonated. This is called Plume at the Restaurant. Plume was lunching at the restaurant when the maitre d' approached him. Throwing him a severe glance, he said in a low and mysterious voice, "That item on your plate is not listed on the menu." Plume was quick to apologize. "What happened is that I was in such a rush that I didn't bother to consult the menu. So I just asked whether by chance I might have a chop, thinking that there might be one available, if not here, at least somewhere in the neighborhood. But also completely ready to order something altogether different should there be none at hand. The waiter, who did not seem particularly taken aback by my request, brought me the chop shortly thereafter. So here I am. Of course, I'll pay whatever it costs. It's a lovely piece of meat. Far from me to deny it. Just name the price and I'll pay it. Had I known, I would have just ordered another cut of meat or simply an egg. In any event, I'm no longer that hungry. Just give me the bill and I'll settle it right off." Meanwhile, the maitre d' isn't budging. Plume is mightily embarrassed. After a while, he raises his eyes. Now it's the owner of the place who is standing in front of him. Plume was quick to apologize. "I was unaware that chops were not listed on the menu. I did not consult the menu because my eyes aren't that good, and I didn't have my pince-nez on me. Besides, reading always causes me a great deal of strain. I just asked for the first thing that came to mind, not so much because chops are a personal taste of mine, but just to invite further suggestions. The waiter, no doubt otherwise preoccupied, didn't give the matter a thought. And when he placed the item before me, I just absent-mindedly started eating it. Since you're now here, let me just pay you directly." Meanwhile, the owner of the place isn't budging. Plume feels more and more embarrassed. As he is handing him the cash, he suddenly sees the sleeve of a uniform, that of a policeman standing over him. Plume was quick to apologize. He had only entered the establishment to rest his feet a bit. Suddenly someone had shouted into his face, "So, monsieur, what will it be?" He had replied, "A glass of beer." And "Then what?" had said the exasperated waiter. And then, just to assuage him, rather than for any other reason, he had simply said, "Well, I'll have a chop." He had given it no more thought, and then the order was delivered to him on a plate. And since there it now was, sitting before him, listen. It would be most kind of you if you could take care of this entire mess. Here, this is for you. And he forks over a 100-franc note. Hearing the man's steps recede, he thought he was now free. But now the chief of police is standing in front of him. Plume was quick to apologize. He had arranged a meeting with a friend. He had been looking for him all over the place the entire morning. And since he knew that his friend would be passing through the street after leaving his office, he, Plume, had entered this restaurant and had taken a table by the window. And since he knew that the wait might be long, and because he didn't want to seem like a tightwad, he had ordered a chop, just to have something in front of him. At no point had he thought of actually consuming it. But seeing as how it was there in front of him, he had automatically and absolutely, without the slightest idea in the world of what he was doing, proceeded to eat it. It should be kept in mind that he was not at all in the habit of going to restaurants. He always lunched at home, on principle. This was a sheer accident of the sort that could happen to anybody who felt flustered. A temporary lapse, nothing more. But the chief of police, having called the director of the criminal investigation department up on the phone, handed Plume the receiver, saying, "Explain yourself at once and for all. This is your only chance of getting off scot-free." And a cop shoved him around, saying, "From here on in, you'll take the straight and narrow, eh?" And as the firemen were making their way into the restaurant, the owner of the place said to him, "Just look at the loss my place is taking. A true catastrophe." And he gestured to the seats, which all the diners had fled in haste. The agents of the criminal investigation department were saying to him, "We're warning you, things are going to get very hot for you. You might as well spill the beans right here and now. This is not our first case like this. Believe you me, when things start taking this kind of turn, it can get pretty heavy." Meanwhile, a big oaf of a policeman was towering over him, saying, "Look, there's nothing I can do about this. I have my orders. If you don't speak into the receiver, I'll bash you, understand? Fess up. You've been warned. If I don't hear a word from you, I'll beat the daylights out of you." Like, that shit's so funny. I was dying laughing reading that. So before I read some older stuff, I think what he's great at is proper nouns. He just makes like anything into like uppercase proper noun. And so I was coming up with a list at work the other day of like things like that. So this is called the bulge. The bulge grew weird, tumorous like a positive crater. Riffing on crumple, ruffle, per ripple, the bulge is a wart like the sun. The bulge, extortionist, extensioner of this realm, slides herself sweaty against my lower back. She slimes. Now she, bulge, leaps, and now she plops. I stay enthralled, wet my shorts a little. Out west, they call her the bulge. And eastward, she's known as the bulge. It's true, she's my beauty in her bulging. She's blue. Thank you. This is a similar one that's also, for Henri Michaux. It's called My Buff Guys. My buff guys whines, and wow does he wriggle. And how so profoundly does he glide. My buff guys is an absolute ham. He hams it up. He takes the stage to hiccup, interrupts, he eats praise and prayers, and he doesn't ever get quite full. My buff guys is sex on earth. He deserves and surpasses my every attempt at naming. My buff guy is my fat joy, in whom I find my fidelity to the eruption of eternity in my life, like an utter halt that opens up. My buff guys, will you hold me? Thank you. These next poems are from a collection from a while ago called Blob, and I was thinking a lot at the time about sovereignty and its surplus, or fatness and excess. It's called Hark the Hulking Bulk. Hark the hulking bulk, as it schleps away to wealth belly, sloshing and squelching as it goes and never not straining past parameters. Lipids weep grease in the spirit of haunting past. Stuck out an unguent schmear, topical ointment, gift of God-filled flubber, rubs a lasting and unctuous inclusion. A history of eating is not a closed affair, harbors the succulent cereal presence of belly wealth in the massively involving folds. Adipose as excess, the state of being fat, or insensate border breach, or failed self-control. Thank you. That's okay. I think I read that one. Thank you. This one's called Corpulent Anus. Pink sweet, puckered up, dumb-dull, doubled up per year of gut splurge, chub splay, the pubic anti-public, holy, yet stuffed and gorged the interplay of full and fall, all fat, the sovereign surpassed at outermost skin pull. In vaginated desire sucks glob roll in interior squelch. Gush is a principal orientation of cum and what counts for it. Courage now, fortunate jigglers. Flab flush flesh ripplers, all-round chunk surfers. Admit yourselves excessive property as perma-glutton subjects. Thank you. This one's called Wealth Belly in the Thick of It. Psoriasis is serial cutment, formed and gluts opposite. Regulator regurgitating what calories it can't but not allow space. Sponge skin insists and I'm clothed to combat it. Skin flakes and I'm eaten as I feast beastly because fuck I am, I think. Funkful, face-filled, it's starting to feel as though fat is ugly bearing. Though fruitiful, this young fruit is looting the diner in search of food and irresponsibility. Lap band, the destruction of weight wealth, the communism of more than plenty, plenum even. Thank you. This one's called Perhaps Space Conscious. At the event, your leg may have rubbed the perfect chub of another's thigh. And for this, you deserve a lifetime of correction, apparently. All right, so from here, this is like post-blob, you could say. This one's called Per Ashen. And I wrote it while staring at this really fucked up piece of art. Per Ashen. Her hands grip my hips, her cock stone and bobbing as it brushes the back of my skin. An eye moping forward, put my hand to my head. Wade into a sinking sort, want in crouch and flare, thinking for obliteration, then wince, stare. Thank you. This is an email I sent to Forrest. Hi, Forrest. It says, Dear Forest Dove, my fidelity to the event of Giselle swaggers cuttingly through every pretense to historical closure. Her levitational impulse, her dexterous history, breed astonishment and terror often, while static decay spreads long route through the land. The screech bleat of the Charcot girls and their ideas you can hear from endless eons away. Exorbitant kisser, whose lips burst in greet and part, and come to save my dainty bent being, my ringing, seething hatred, rage, my late hits, I'm trying to find my way to. At the exhibition of degenerate artists, she snuck glances to her friends, and they did not speak but mourned and felt their outrageousness as worry. The erotic angel of Weimar appeared to batten down, she calcified, but I licked her as salt as a child, cut teeth on her martyr instructor from afar. She evades nomination. She names herself endlessly. Centuries blur in that they warp, the despair, something. And several years before such gruesomeness again. And that late career Charlotte, Lottie for the dames, her long snooze for the girls, and the danger still ensuing. She overwhelmed, echoed, darted in directions I wouldn't have ever thought of. Oh, exactly, my another lover, my dentability as abstract crime, my rather beauty, bosom showing, humiliation, my kink in love, and scorched per acre, inside out, her jackass self and his world historical anger. Love, Leonora. Thank you. I'll say, I'm not reading from it, but he has another book, Michaux, called Miserable Miracle. It's a great book. In his 50s, he started taking mescaline and just recorded his experiences. And in many ways, he's attempting to sort of transcribe or translate or record this event of perception. And I often get, I have this like nervousness that like, there's times in my poems that they don't have like images, like I'm using a lot of words, but like, I don't know. So I sometimes he's like recording thought in this way though in his poems that felt really confirming. Yeah, and something about like stalking the event too is really important to me. A lot of these poems, that last one, but also a few of these others, I think are really about searching for some sort of event. Yeah, I'm just going to read this one. It starts with an epigraph from Ernst Bloch. It goes, "Now I'm in a state of sluggish longing, a sinking sort of longing. Minor miracle, a body such as that. You covered in snot and rotten pollen. You, your love, leaking and reeking from your pits. Your gag and heave and mucus, and I'd gladly huff your stuff. I'd take deep big breaths of you, take stunning jets of juice from you, for you are the jagged faggot, and tightly wanting. You wear your horror-groaned gown sewn to the pulse of the general economy of sadness. Your sheer udder, your full bladder, your incongruence of sex. You feel heavy like a whelp, make no progress, you're not feeling so well. Last night I heard the staunch babe inverting her cock back and forth, and every chance she got, negating and negating and negating, until it grew nothing, swole empty, gushed and waned indistinctly. In remorse to the bound place, to the party, to the playpen, to the onset of my tumescent blush, and the erection of famous jitters, I came to the event not to know. To forget, to be fucked. Blush Place casts invective against this realism of barred touch in its solidity. Fall, plummet, and what's beautiful in it. That night, the party, I despite myself went. Sluggish, sinking, I extended out for the sake of my pores, for my porousness, I poured. And for all want to put the skin back in, or wanting inside out. And the stumble there of being strewn. Vase of sorts spilled. And everywhere the down-low menagerie who's smiling about, and their menace, my men, my late-night catastrophes, me, my good anal slut, and 1,000 imitations. Welcome evocations of cock and hey, choke and snuff. Take your lights out. Stuff rough, you gag for all good sense of mind. Lent, stretched, I will go again. Oh, brief sludge of you, there in the corners and clinging, or out in the streets for whale. Thank you. I'll read just one more. I don't know. Yeah, so there's kind of two components to this. There's two sections that are prefaced by some lines from the early sexologist Havelock Ellis. Ellis was working at a time where theories of transvestism, transsexuality, there's this endless name game. People are always coming up with a new name for it. And he's pretty evil. And I was reading through his work, and I've been trying to find my way into it somehow. And so I think it'll be clear in how I read it, which parts are which, but I don't think it has a title. Maybe it does, I don't know. So he says, shame forbade. Starvation has bred increased appetite. The history of the Eonist is his term for transvestite. The history of the Eonist may sometimes turn out pathetically. She felt her inferiority and dreaded the future. At night, in her room, she inevitably found that there was a rhinoceros in her belly, that its horn poked up from the back of her skin, that scratched. Hot, chalked breath, his cock slop in the trough tonight, her thong sucked, so tight and aching. A house of dark flakes. She sits outside, sighs. Chained dog retches muscularly. Fills the air with puke and murder. Too tense, she's regularly told. So she sucks a lot to get a lot of good looks and happy. Shame she gets so lost in the loathing. Beaten, bloody, brutal, she comes close to God. Chokes herself widely open, empties. Hole fulfilling, she's not anything major. We all, however normal, possess latent possibilities. The great miracle of sexual metamorphosis she is awaiting. A sudden, involuntary gush of physical emotion. Oh, my ever-loving anus? Shimmers, shines, thanks for asking. My recession flush with riches, my recess rich in poppies. Oh, well me, I'm shy about such things, or want to devour even mine own lust. Stopped, start, stooped with latent cravings, a libido with yet not a body to saturate with want. So I have brought you to this place. Love, blush, doom, and its opaque entry looks a lot like shatter. So surging tonight, such lush, flush, flesh so ready and never not. I, she gape. I, deep conscious saliva, spread my vag out like a knot, throat my sorrows for disbelievers. See, she's here from out of town, came alone, wants to party. She asks me, what's the hottest event around? I suggest to her the fleshy coil of my asshole. It's called frayed hegemony, I say, and no one's not coming. Is the faggot excavator gonna be there? The faggot excavator will be there. Do I have to empty out? If you want to be a hot commodity on the shame circuit tonight. See, that girl told me that she has 2 dicks and that the cocks bloom urethral violets. I believe her, and what does she do with them? Throttage? Violent frotting? Vile froth? Thank you very much. Face to gold.
Thank you so much, Leonora. I'm going to be thinking about the chop and the blob forever. What was the other one? The bulge. All of them. Yeah, so now I have some songs and poems for you. I'm so glad there's no microphone because I hate having to like go like this. Like I can just sing, right? Okay. January snow blowing almost horizontally. I wrote all the love notes that I could electronically. I smoked your whole pack like I should, and I sang the throaty songs on the radio. I'm manufacturing heels, no more war memorabilia, planning to concede all my oil in my machine. I'm at the dining room table with you because you're so kind, and I made you spinach, and I tried not to check the time. And there are doilies and a kettle and all these embroidered things for show, and I'm wearing my pink overalls, and you're thinking those thoughts you thought last time. It snowed, I'm manufacturing these. No more war memorabilia, planning to concede all my oil in my machine. Thank you. And, I guess the plan was to do the set and then the cover, but my 2 friends here have decided to not do that, so I think I might follow in their footsteps. We move, right? This is a Waxahatchee song. I love Waxahatchee, and I have complicated feelings about indie rock. But I'll play you this song and then I'll talk about it. I'm not singing our song. I've been waiting here for way too long, working out long equations, drinking from paper bags, and I've spent 14 summers fucking around with this idea. I'll spin every connection to show you what I made Waxahatchee. Waxahatchee is the name of a band that is composed of a white woman, and it is a name that is an indigenous name. So that's something that I think about every time I listen to it, because it's just like, fuck, like, why did you have to do that? And it's like, it's named after Waxahatchee Creek in Alabama, where she grew up. But regardless of who named the creek, I think your name should not be Waxahatchee. But I love her music so much, and that song actually came out, I discovered it on a compilation that came out in 2016 called Early Recordings from Waxahatchee, and but apparently it came out first on a split in 2011 with a guy named Chris Clavin from the band Ghost Mice, who is a known abuser. And so I'm just like, I have very complicated feelings about indie rock, right? Because this is just like, I start with this because it feels like this is like kind of the latent backdrop of like so much music, or like so much like of these scenes or whatever. And it's just, I love the song, and I'm really, it's just, yeah. But I stole two things from this song. You'll see when I play the songs, but the first is the number 14. She uses the number 14 in this way that feels so interesting to me. Like, it's like so unsteady, and like just, it feels random. She says, I've spent 14 summers fucking around with this idea. 14 summers is maybe the weirdest amount of time anyone's ever said. Like 14 summers, I don't know what that's not even a real amount of time. And so yeah, one of my songs uses the number 14. I stole it from Waxahatchee. And the other thing is this kind of like dialogue move that she does. She says, and if I was wherever you are, I'd tell you pretty things like, we can stay as long as you want. Like, it's like, she says, if I was wherever you are, even though if you're speaking to someone, you are wherever they are. So it's kind of just a strange, like, temporal thing that she does. And I love just, like, the kind of, like, novelistic dialogue that happens in that song. But yeah, that's Waxahatchee, now more of me. Meadowlands poem in honor of Jay. We wrote them independently. Sonnet for the Meadowlands. The waterfowl ferment in X forest and serve foul stew in superfunded heat. The shopping mall you might patronize is hell-bent on its parricide dream. Sewage dregs stream down the birds' bills while the estuary procedure is exiled, and a man invents a new method of courting overseas jewels. Bite marks in the land get sacrificed, then filled. In the grave of the city, what remains are yours to keep. This brackish death, these waterlogged feet. I don't play dumb in my own deep swamp. Everything is soaked unless it's on their road. Don't dredge up my body. Even the mud moans. Stuff in the air that begs me to cry, that begs me to sneeze, that begs me to cry like a crying baby crying on an airplane up at 30,000 feet. Everybody knows why I've come here. Everybody knows why. Every year's the same as it was 7 years ago, and every room's a room with or without windows, and everybody knows just why I've come here. Everybody knows just what you've done, what you've done, what you. Yeah, I tell. Now I'm going to read you some poems from a project that I'm working on. It is a documentary poetry project where I'm working with the papers from an anarchist school that existed in my hometown, Piscataway, New Jersey, in the early 20th century, like mostly the 20s and 30s. And yeah, Rutgers has all of the papers and the school projects from these children who were at this anarchist school where there were no rules. And I'm very fascinated by it, so these few poems are related to that. Against gradualism. Look at the utterances undone by costliness. Look at my yellowed fingernails scratching at the corners of disrepair. Children are in the field, in the boarding house. Having never been small, I know inarticulation is as good as fruit. Precious misspellers decide on art best, even if only painters who paint with spit care for us. No directives are given except by metal moonlight, shining dust puddles, or by fishing in water bodies nearby. When immediacy rings out, we find ourselves homebound with our perfect sheaths and sharpened swords, soon to be deployed against the tired rhythm of money government and promised order. In the case of darkening in the bunks, we drink cans of condensed milk, shipped from a dairy farm close to the city, slipping it around in our mouths slowly, as if to remember the udder. If we had cattle here, they would scale the walls of our schoolhouse, peeking out of continuous condition, their tails swinging from side to side. This is a poem that I titled after a poem written by a child at that school. I stole the title from this child. And the title is A Great Meeting About People That Wanted to Go to the Moon. One astronaut-to-be asked the other how he was feeling. He said, pretty nervous to be in space. First one said, but we've always been in space. This is just another kind. Outer space, with no air or people, but you will still be yourself. A third astronaut-to-be told them that he found out they were hurting people on Earth by being in space and using all the money for space travel instead of traveling to see friends and family and eating regular hydrated food with them. They had all wanted to go to the moon because wouldn't that be spectacular? The first astronaut-to-be said, what do you know about spectacular? Your shoe is untied and you were just nervous to go into space. And the others agreed that they should go and visit Grandma and make a quilt out of their own old t-shirts. This is another stolen title, How I Became a Flower. The dirt talks with a funny accent, like a mouthful of syrupy sludge, or like a sweet, dry scent. My mom was a rock baby once. My mom was a pebble before this. She was squeezed by the sun. She was polished by the water, seeded, treated, left out. Magenta, auburn, violet. These are the loose petals she let me hold. Taking a shower in my clothes, they're melting on me. Singing a song I'm famous for singing, I'm the musical guest. Yeah, I'm the musical guest. In all your dainty and unimportant lives, and on this unspecified late night talk show, of which I am also the host. And the nurses come running to bring me my flowers, and the flowers go booming to bring me really expensive vodka, and I take a shot, easy and clean, with so much force I almost choked on the olanzapine or Thorazine or whatever it is they've given me. Taking a shower in my clothes, they're melting off of me. Thank you. And this is a very short one. I will eat until I can't feel my teeth or my tongue anymore. And you say goodbye to my face. I will drink 14 glasses of water a day, and I will, that's so soft, I'll drift off away. And when you come to my door, I'll know just what you're looking for. Yeah. This is such an old song, like I think it is actually 10 years old. I have no business still playing this. You are headed to the city, I am headed for the hills. You are ready to be empty, I am gonna get my fill, and there's nothing left to be done. Waiting here in a place I once belonged. And I walked down the street, and I looked down at my own 2 feet, and I put one foot in front of the other, and the fresh yellow paint stuck to the bottom of my shoes in the middle of the street. In the afternoon, find something that means something, read a book or get a life, and let your feelings eat your insides. no one left to confuse. I can only hope that I walked down the street and I looked down at my own 2 feet and I put one foot in front of the other and the fresh yellow paint stuck to the bottom of my shoes in the middle of the street. In the afternoon, and I got hit by the 66. Thank you. That song is about a bus line that no longer exists and getting hit by it. Okay. Dark clanging night. Marmalade, lemonade, lemon zest, only the best for you. I welcome the welcome mat, the match of our love's light, lighter than frostbite. Marriage rites, promise ring, doorbell beast, magic feast, cheeseburger rampage, page turning over in the night, in the grave, in the middle of the night. Pots and pans clang against unfinished countertop edges, edging, inching, itching, almost there. Complete precision, architectural perfection, but up against rebuttal dream, revenge system, overhaul, 18-wheeler honk, hammerhead shark swimming through outlined lanes, bowling alley pins standing in my way, in my superficial and all-knowing way, unfastened, quickened, quicksand, heroes I do not remember by name, gifts given only in the spirit of dark habits or leaking ceilings, dark night in which I love you, which I dress you for the night. Everyone auxiliary may die like a zipper zipped out loud or else in secret. Doctors are con artists, I am doctor of fine darts, sharp enough to profess a love so loud it leaks through the walls of Dr. Khan's consignment store, Mr. Baker's flower shop, Mrs. Mother's brother of the edge of the bed frame, straps congealed with my skins, Velcro strips me of my future childhood, interconnective conference room style, continental breakfast, ruined kingdom drought catalog, undying drainage, commuter backpack, straps concealed by my skin, covered by coverage, aged by cover band, bound, serious slickness, weaponry, instruments, retractable statements, my father's old Corvette painted all those years ago with white lead paint, led to paint talked about in words, unrecognizable except in drowning, wading, surfing, shading the sand with tree leaves. Solutions come to me in the shape of buckets, sopping wet with money. Where are the babies this evening? Where are the bibs among us useful good birds, terrified of plummeting for low-hanging fruit? This is my last song. Thank you so much for coming. Like, I am so pleased. All the debris they flossed out from between my straightened teeth reeks, and each word that I mine for its pleasure points is tied to the next by that tenuous thread. I don't remember what you said to me. I remember your mouth, how it followed all of the choreography so perfectly. And I like to compress my confusion into fine dull powders to keep in capsules for when I need unsharpening. I expect someday soon I'll need the senselessness again. I'll need the sleepless weeks and mispronunciations and all the dramatic irony. And I remember your timely visits to my reward center and the erotomanic cackling of our hypersexual machinery. Fits into new pharmacological strategies. And will you be through my next careful around men. We should both be afraid of the cameras. Thank you. Have a good night.
Please give it up one more time for our performers, Jay, Leonora, and Gold. Thank you again on behalf of SMUSH Gallery for being here. If you want more performance, we have it for you. Next weekend, we're starting our spring dance series. There will be someone here who's a local choreographer, Jill Sigmund/Think Dance. She's working with the Feminist Bird Club of Jersey City. There'll be birding involved. There's live music. Check it out. This is the green postcard. The ombre one has all of our various events. And then I'm also hosting a series of events that is about grieving and healing bodies. It includes participatory meditation and also dance. So please take a sampling of postcards on your way out. We've got the mailing list. Follow us online, SMUSH Gallery. And please stick around. Meet new people. Enjoy the people you already know and love. Thank you again for being here.